Okay, boys.
K-pop is still suing me for what, dude?
Oh, you did this to me, brother. You literally did this. John Hasse.
Over the past decade, K-pop has gradually grown into an international music force. Gone are the days when only South Koreans were enjoying some extremely upbeat tunes with earworm hooks. Now the entire world is in on the secret, and K-pop's gaining thousands of followers with each passing week. But despite K-pop's immense success, it is hard to ignore that under all the glitz and glamour, there's a frighteningly oppressive industry churning out emotionally damaged artists who are forced to live under the thumb of management companies that are more oppressive than most dictatorships. Worse yet, not all of these wannabe superstars are lucky enough to survive the process. So just how dark does the dark side of K-pop get? Ooh, you have no idea, but if you are interested in finding out, then keep watching our newest episode of The Dark Side of Fame. Most aspiring K-pop superstars start off in the business by signing what is colloquially referred to as a slave contract, and when that's your launching off point, you already know something's gone wrong. The main issue with the K-pop contracts is that the youngsters who ink their name on the dotted line are effectively signing their lives away. According to former stars like Prince Mac, many artists sign a contract that will see them under lock and key for the next 7 to 15 years, and that's just the start. On average, these trainees begin at around 11 years old, and many of them are crammed in the bedrooms with as many as 8 other people, sleeping on bunk beds or even on the floor. And when they're not packed in the rooms like cans of sardines, they're forced to work 12-hour days, memorizing lyrics and dance moves, practicing it all until they don't make a single mistake. Did I mention that they were doing all of this for free? I don't know, somehow that seems important. Trainee payment comes in the form of the aforementioned glorified boarding kennel and the tyrannical training regimens. Oh, and sometimes nose jobs and eye lifts, but don't worry, we'll get to all of that. A pop star named Gracie Grace told Cosmopolitan, "It was my dream to become a singer until I realized how bad it was mentally. I developed insomnia. I couldn't sleep for 6 months straight. I started to feel anxiety, but I didn't even know what an anxiety attack was. I didn't want to share my feelings because I didn't want to get cut from the company. I thought if I looked too depressed, I'd be let go." If you think that Grace may be exaggerating here, she really isn't. Some trainee rooms are even monitored by CCTV cameras, and personal cell phones are frequently checked by supervisors. I mean, heck, even every single social media selfie is scrutinized by all the higher ups before it's allowed to be posted. Also, they do have a dating ban. The dating ban isn't the same for every K-pop idol. It differs between companies and different idols. Some have a dating ban only when they are rookies. For example, JYP Entertainment, who is behind Twice and GOT7, is famous for maintaining a strict no dating rule until 3 years after an artist has emerged in the public eye. This is why some artists from companies like SM or JYP are always involved in dating scandals, because once you are no longer a rookie or hit a certain age, those kinds of companies don't care who you date. Whereas with companies like YG are a lot stricter on their girl groups dating than their guy groups.
게이브 잠깐! 캔디는 아직도 널 사랑해!
Oof.
All of this is done with the hopes of perfecting these potential K-pop idols in every single way, whether it be performance in interview-like settings, dancing difficult choreography, and everything in between.
와, 나도 생긴 것도 좀 생기고 노래도 어느 정도 좀 잘하고 춤도 어느 정도 잘 추는데 나도 가수나 해볼까? 라고 생각하시는 분들이 대부분일 거예요. 이 꿈을 꾸지 말아라, 이건 아니에요. 그래도 한 번 더 생각을 해봐야 된다?
Of course, after going through all of this, not every trainee makes it. Many are held back from ever debuting, and some are even thrown into survival-type reality shows to capitalize on any worth that they might have before being released from their trainee contracts without having earned a penny personally. What an industry. That is wild. But even for the ones that do make it, their problems aren't over yet, because after all that training, the aspiring K-pop idol next has to pay off all their trainee debt. Think student debt, only worse, with loans that could sometimes reach as high as $500,000. You gotta pay $500,000 to become a superstar? I don't know. Sounds shady.
So your food, dorms, and any other living expenses go into your debt. And obviously training fees. So if you do dance, vocal lessons, that would all be included, and other lessons that you want to do would also be included. And your school fees could also be in your debt.
I think it's important we must acknowledge, while there are some K-pop entertainment companies that don't abide by that form of business model, a surprising number do. In fact, the vast majority of them. Then when idols aren't quick to repay their loans, the management company can threaten to release them until they get their money back. Once an idol has gone through the training and managed to pay off all their debt, their worries aren't over yet, especially not for women, because management companies are extremely strict when it comes to the physical appearance of their superstars. For instance, there is a well-known diet referred to as the paper cup diet, which involves idols eating only the amount of whole grains, fruits, and vegetables that can be fit into 9 paper cups each day, 3 per meal. That's it. That's all they get.
Well, the main focus of this diet is eating in paper cups. So instead of counting calories, you're counting paper cups.
Pop idol Momo from the girl group Twice once said during a live stream that she was so worried about her weight that when it came time for her debut, that she took her diet to extreme levels. I ate 1 cube of ice, but I thought that I might get fat with even that. That was what I did. But I didn't lose 7 kilograms by the D-Day, so they gave me about 3 more days. Beyond starving themselves, female K-pop idols are also required to have a series of easily distinguishable traits like, let's say, pale skin, big eyes, cherry-colored lips, and small faces. Basically, the more they resemble an anime character in real life, the better. Companies will also often force their performers to get cosmetic surgeries to fix their imperfections in order to increase their earning potential. And if you don't think that is having an impact on South Korean culture in general, then think again. According to The Atlantic, 1 in 5 Korean women have plastic surgery in their lifetimes. Compare that to 1 in 20 Americans. Considering the giant expectations forced upon them, it shouldn't come as a surprise to learn that female idols are often held to different standards than their male counterparts. Not only is there an excessive amount of slut shaming going on, but if a female performer flaunts her sexuality in any way, they often spark national outrage and are heavily criticized for it. Like, imagine if Meg Thee Stallion was a K-pop star, they'd be so upset. I don't know, it'd be crazy. On the other side of the spectrum, if they embrace feminist values, they're often just as viciously criticized, if not more. For instance, K-pop idol Irene from the band Red Velvet was recently attacked for reading a best-selling feminist novel called Kim Ji-young, born 1982, by the author Cho Nam-ju. After posting a review of the book to social media, her fans allegedly lit photos of the idol on fire. This is like when LeBron left Cleveland, except it's a K-pop idol. Crazy, I know. And then there are the female idol sponsorships, but don't let that name fool you. That's basically a code word for when management companies pimp out their female singers and expect them to trade their bodies for further opportunities. Yeah, it's a messy business. Considering the prevalence of things like sponsorship, sex scandals have also run rampant in the industry. Whether it was the infamous Burning Sun scandal where Big Bang's Seungri resigned after it was revealed that his elite nightclub was running a sex ring, or Jung Joon-young's confessions to having secretly filmed himself sleeping with multiple inebriated women only to share these videos in a chat room without anybody's permission. There's always something fishy going on, which oftentimes only leads to further tragedy. Speaking of tragic outcomes, over the past couple of years, K-pop has been rocked by a series of idols taking their own lives. It started on December 18th, 2017 when singer Jong Hyun of the boy band SHINee was found dead in his apartment from carbon monoxide poisoning. He left a note that read, "I am broken from inside. The depression that gnawed on me slowly has finally engulfed me entirely." He was only 27 years old. Less than 2 years later, the singer known as Sully hung herself on the second floor of her home in Seongnam. She was only 25 when her good friend and fellow idol, Gu Hara, took to Instagram later that night. She was visibly heartbroken. She ended her live stream by reassuring her fans that she would be fine and eventually get over the loss of her friend, but only a little over a month later, Hara too would take her own life. What's worse is, for the most part, the entertainment companies that manage these former idols wouldn't even acknowledge their passing out of fear that it may tarnish their own image. Lastly, just when you think it couldn't possibly be any worse to become a K-pop star, you make it big, and then you have to contend with your legion of fans on a daily and sometimes hourly basis. And I'm not just talking about any kind of fans here, no siree, I'm talking about anti-fans and crazy fans. Kind of taking the concept of stan to another level. I don't know, Eminem fans out there, you know what I mean. First, let's start with the anti-variety. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. After all, not all of us love acts like Justin Bieber or the D'Amelio sisters. But K-pop fans, they take their outrage to a whole nother level. In fact, they might just try and you. Once a former idol decided it was time to break away from his band and go solo, want to know how his fans responded? They created a petition for him to commit that wound up with over 3,000 signatures on it. Imagine seeing a petition with 3,000 people wanting you to kill yourself. I don't know, I couldn't imagine it.
You see, there's something wrong with me.
There was even a time when another K-pop idol was handed a drink by a zealous fan, and rather than consume the beverage by himself, he wound up having to give it to his mother, who then had to be rushed to the hospital and have her stomach pumped from the poison that had been placed in the beverage. One of the worst incidents was when Yoon Eun-hae was shot in the eye with a water gun filled with all kinds of toxic stuff like pepper, vinegar, and chili sauce while standing at the entrance of a music show. She did perform with an eye patch on that day, word to Slick Rick the Ruler. Also, if you take a photo with your idol and post a photo on social media, there is a chance that envious fans will try and persecute you. Unfortunately, back in 2007, 17-year-old Leon-ji committed when fans of Kangin found the photo on her blog. It was flocked with malicious messages since, and some fans have gone to the extent of finding her phone number and left abusive messages. A few fans have expressed regrets over their act since Lee's death, but it's a little too late. And those are just the actions of fans who don't like the artist. Things can be just as weird when they do, like the time that the group known as Dongbang Shinki had fans tapping their phone lines and breaking into their apartments so they could kiss them while they sleep. I don't know, I've had a lot of dreams that started out that way, but I can see how in reality it might be something more like a nightmare. One fan of Taekyung from the popular Korean group 2PM sent him a letter in which she wrote with her own menstrual blood, "To you, Taekyung, I dedicate this letter written with my menstrual blood. Well, Taekyung, now you can't live without me."
Oh my God!
One time, EXO, during their earlier years, had finished up one of their schedules and had emerged from a building they were working in and headed towards their van. Or what they thought was their van. It turns out that fans had rented out the same van EXO was using and had even parked it where the group would be waiting. EXO had no idea that the van they were about to get in wasn't their van and almost got in. Apparently the stands were pretending to be some of their managers and trying to lure them in. Thankfully their manager, who was with them as they waited for the van, noticed something fishy was going on and prevented the boys from getting into the van. And in a sense, I think that's an accurate way to sum up the K-pop industry. It seems like a dream from the outside, but once you're in it, welcome to hell. My name is Clyde Smith, and if you guys learned a thing or two about the dark side of fame when it comes to the world of K-pop, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another video.